Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So what we want to do is have a teacher mark our tests. So the view for marking our tests that we need to see is the view that the teacher normally sees. Let's see here for a second. Let's log in as a teacher, which in our case is vibe.yahoo.com, and then password. And if we go to mark, when you click on to mark right now, it takes you to the single test view, which is this one here. The only problem is this test view doesn't take into account the student information, because this is a general test that no students have interacted with yet. So the students get this information and then write their own test. What we really need is a view which displays what particular student wrote this particular test, and we can view that from the perspective of the student, because when the student clicks on the where is this, on tests, and take this test, that's where we get to that point. So let's try and log in as a student, shall we? So one of the students is Guy at yahoo.com. Okay, so if I go to tests, there's take this test, because now I'm a student. So if I click on this, there we go. That's the view I want, but let me view this one with questions though. So this is the view, because this takes into account the student who is taking this test, and all we need is to get exactly this view. But in our case, we write the same way we have created by. We should also have student or answered by or something like that. Now this, you can know this takes into account already the student, because it shows you how much of this test has been answered by the student. Now, the reason we didn't put a student name here is because this view is for the currently logged in user. So there's no need for you to see your own name here as taking the test. Maybe we could put that actually. So let's look into doing that here, so that students are sure that not somebody else or the name that is being saved is correct. So this is my first test from second class, and then we can put student name after this. So let's go to, this is tech test, and let's go to our views in private. So let's go views, and let's look for tech test tab. Let's see, tech test tab view, that's the one. This is the one that has percent answered. Okay, so let's go to tech test view directly, created by, date, and then finally we have, where is this, date created. What I'm looking for is test description, but right at the top here where we have from, we can duplicate this and we can add something else. So student, like this. Let's remove that F. Okay, so the student name should be here, but where do we get the student name? If we go to tech test tab, we know the student, actually wait here, let's wait a second. If I copy this row, let me see how many of these are there. There's answered test row. Okay, that's the one with user ID in it. But it seems if we go to the controller here, let's see if we already have what we're looking for. So tech test.php. So we go down to the end here. So there's all this that we are sending through data, and we must check before we try and retrieve that information. So we have total questions, all questions, and which one am I looking for? Let's see here. Okay, so saved answers. What I will do here is just so that I can see what everything that is inside data. Let me just do show data here. So let's go back here and refresh. Okay, so this is what we have here. The row for answered tests, that's quite okay because it has the user ID there. But before we try to read that user ID information, let's see if we already have it. So here there's user, but this is the user that wrote the test. So let's see if we have more. Let's go here, questions. The user is the one that wrote. Same thing here. Same thing there. Okay, so it seems we don't have the information we are looking for here at all. Okay, so what we need to do is get that information. So that would be simple to do. Let's just get the, and come back here for a second. Get student information, like that. Okay, so from here we will do, we're going to use any of these, especially answered questions or saved answers, which is this one. So let me come here and see what is in here. So say show that one there, and let's see what's contained in that. Okay, so we have this with answers there. Okay, so those are just the answers, but I want the row that contains the I had seen it before, so let me just do data again. I forgot what it's called, and yeah, there we go, answered test row. That's the one. So I want the user ID from there. So back to answered test row. It's like this and like that. Okay, so that's the one there. So if we get that and then we put user ID, oh, it's actually an object, so let's point with user underscore ID, like that. We should get the user ID of the one taking the test right now. So for student, we're going to replace with that, but without let's give it a memory location called data student row, like so. Then we're going to equate this to a result we get from using the user model. So user, we're just going to put that there, even though it's not, maybe it might not be there. We'll check to see if it is, and then we'll get first like this. From there we get the user ID, cut that. Let's remove this. So I'm going to move these apart like so. So in here I want to use user underscore ID as the column I'm reading, and then paste that like so. Okay, so student row is here. Save. And then here I just want to show data student row. Copy, and let's put it there, just so we can see if we're getting something. Now let's make sure that user is actually a thing. So I will copy that, try to find it. Let's see if it exists already among okay, so it doesn't seem to exist yet, but that's not a big deal because we can always activate it. So I'm just going to say user is equal to new user, like that. Okay, so that should do. Let's go back and see what happens. Okay, so now we have what we needed. All we need now is the first name and last name. And yeah, I think that's all the information we need to display there. So I'll remove this. I'll just copy this, remove this, and then now if I come back to this part, I can easily use student row first name like this, and then I can duplicate this for the last name, leave a space between the two, and put last name here. Okay, so let's see what we've got this time. Okay, so that's the student. So even when the teacher is marking, they're supposed to see what student this is. Guy dude. Okay, cool. Now to save space here, we may put these. This is class name and student. So we may just put this as a table. That will make things a little bit easier to see. So let's see here. If I remove the opening center tag and remove the closing here, this way they are both inside one tag like this. Okay, and I want to put them in one row, so what do I do here? Maybe let's try a div container of class row. Maybe that can help. Or instead, let me just cut this class, move that, and just put it right here. Class row, to put them on one row. And it doesn't seem to do the job. Okay, that's probably because we need a class on each one of these called column. Okay, something like this. So instead of from, we can just write class. I always leave that F behind. Okay, so that's more like it. So this is the class and this is the student. Okay, so far so good. Things are looking good here. Now we can get this same view and use it for marking the test because it has everything we need. It shows all the information, what student we are marking, whether this test has been submitted, how much of it has been answered, and the answers themselves are showing right here. Okay, so let's do that in the next video.